Hello and welcome to another episode of Euro 2020 Happy Hour, and we're live! I can't see my face on the screen. Oh, there we go, I can now. With myself, Sham, otherwise known as FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup.
And myself, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda. I thought I'd save myself having to look at you all evening and just blank out your camera.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I don't blame you, mate. First of all, to the people that have been waiting in the stream, apologies for the delay. We had one of the reps, so one of our reps' camera is not working, so you will only hear them tonight. And yeah, we just had loads of issues, so apologies for that. Right, Rob, it's the last 16, and this is where things get interesting. So during the group stages, we had guests from all over the community, but for the knockouts, we've decided to bring back the stars of our preview podcast, and that's our nation rep. So for every live stream that we do, we will hopefully have at least one rep joining us. We start off with with Wales versus Denmark, and our Welsh rep Carwyn and our Danish rep Morten. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hi there.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Thank you.
How you doing? Morten, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, so you guys won't see Morten's face, as I said, because his camera's not working, but you will hear him, so that's good enough.
You can see my face, but just not live.
Yeah. We should have done the what's that app where you can just put the picture in and
Wombo,
and it just makes the mouth move. We should have just done that.
Singing the song. Carwyn, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. So right, so the agenda for tonight, we'll do as we've got our Welsh and Danish rep, and obviously Wales are playing Denmark tomorrow. We thought we'd do an in-depth review on Wales v Denmark, so we'll do about 20 minutes on that. We'll go through we'll talk to each of them about how they've done in the group stages and what their thoughts are and assets, etc. We'll then do a usual preview for each of the other remaining 7 matches. We'll go through our wildcard drafts, some league updates, and then a Q&A. So if you have any questions, please leave them towards the end, and I'll tell you when you can put them in the chat. Rob, before we start, is there anything else, or are we good to go?
I think you've covered everything.
Fantastic. Always just to double check with you.
Yeah, just leave some stuff at the end for me to do, though. Yeah,
I will do. Right. Okay, so let's start off then. Wales and Denmark, big game. Let's talk about how you guys did in the group stages first. So, Carwyn, let's go with you first. What do you think of Wales's group stage? How did you feel about it?
Well, I was very pleased with finishing second. We started. We played the first match and we were quite poor. We were lucky to get a draw against Switzerland, but the second performance against Turkey was really good. I think only winning 2-0 was. I mean, we could have won a lot more than 2-0. And then against Italy, it was just almost slightly damage control and just making sure that we did what we needed to do to get through then. So yeah, very happy to finish second. Probably exceeded sort of outsiders' expectations, but yeah, very pleased and really good group stage.
Okay. Morten, obviously you guys had a very different group stage. Let's talk about the big incident first, with regards to Ericsson, which obviously was massive for you guys. You want to just talk through what your thoughts were and, I guess just a little bit about that and how the Danish team reacted to that. You were at the final game. What was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, sure. The Finland game, it's easy to write off afterwards due to the circumstances. I was fortunate enough not to see that game because I was at a wedding. So we just had some updates that he was collapsed, and then an hour and a half later we were just told he was fine and alive. So I was kind of drunk, obviously. So it didn't really kick in until I kind of searched information the day after when I got home and watched the videos, and then it really got to me. And and yeah, as a human, you just have some reactions, which was pretty tough. So and then we were told that he was getting better and he was stable, and he was that for days, and he got an ICD pacemaker, which is the same type as Daley Blind from Holland got. So that was reassuring that he was doing okay. So obviously the build up to the Belgium game was all about support and reactions on the team and from the fans, and some of the players attended interviews where you could easily tell that they were still really, really affected of it, obviously. So yeah, if we just, it's hard to put some words into it, but obviously the nation went from grief to relief that he was okay. And the game itself versus Finland, I saw some of it afterwards, and yeah, they had one shot, Finland, and we had, I don't know, was it 20 or something? So we were really unlucky, but I mean, under the circumstances, it didn't. None of the Danes really thought that the result mattered at all. So we didn't take the result itself as we didn't take that too hard, anyways. But the Belgium game, the team really, really turned up, which was really nice to see. They put really hard pressure on Belgium, and we didn't finish our chances. We were the better side, I think, for the most of the game. But then De Bruyne and Hazard showed their class when they came on as subs, and we lost the game. And then I was at the stadium versus Russia, and it was electric already, like an hour and a half before.
I was going to ask you, regarding that game. Have you been to a Danish national game before?
I have, but it's been a few years.
What was the atmosphere like from then compared to this game?
It was special. It was, as I said, it was electric, and you could tell people had expectations and they really want to back the team. If you can say more than usual, because of the circumstances, and it was just people chanting already and before the game, and obviously drinking beer and having a good time. I think at that point, after the Belgium game, the fans had put the most of it behind them, and now we were looking forward to the Russia game and hopefully qualify. And the game itself, being in the stadium, it was it's hard to put into word, but it was a really special occasion and experience. The stadium went berserk when we scored 1-2-0. There was a few minutes where Russia got their penalty, which was wrong. I believe it wasn't a pen, and at the same time, Lukaku had scored for 1-0. So we had a situation within a couple of minutes where Belgium had scored, and we had scored for 2-0, so we were through. And then they got a penalty, and Lukaku's goal were disallowed. Ruled out. So it was up and down, and then it went up again, and then just went bananas. It was insane when Christensen he scored that.
Oh my god! I think
the hit of his career for sure.
I think if Patrick Schick didn't score that goal from 45 yards out, I think that Christensen goal, the third goal for Denmark in that game, would probably be a top contender for goal of the tournament. It was just hit so true, I think. Like the whole emotion of the game and everything, it just felt like that goal going in it was just like perfection. I don't know how everyone else would feel about it. It just felt like the whole atmosphere and everything. It felt like, a lot of people have said this, it felt like a proper old school like FA Cup tie. Like the home crowd really, like, it's obviously a very partisan crowd, and everyone really getting behind their team to try and just drive them through. And and then a goal like that goes in, and it's just like, as you said, bananas.
People went crazy, and And I don't want to guess how many liters of beer was thrown in the air. It was it was just a beer shower. It was insane.
Okay, so I guess overall you finished second in the group. You have to be pleased with that after the incident that happened, right?
For sure, and what's even more pleasing was the performance in both games, Belgium and Russia games. We played really well with the high pressure and good passing and movement, especially from the left side. I guess we'll get back to that later. It was really pleasing to the eye.
Okay, so Carwyn, let's go to you now. Who was your standout players in the group stage, would you say? I guess both from a footballing point of view and maybe from a fantasy point of view.
Yeah, I think, well, Bale would have been one of them. Bale and Ramsey are both were really important for us. I mean, Ramsey especially obviously came up with a goal when we needed it in Turkey. Bale, although he missed the penalty, he created two, and his passing was brilliant, in fairness. Also, I mean, Dan James was really good as well. I did see a stat. I think they created more chances than any other player in the tournament so far. And he was really good in making sure that we kind of took it to teams, especially against Turkey. I mean, I think all the players turned up against Turkey. But he was very important in just driving at the defence.
I remember you tipping Kiefer Moore in the preview pod.
Yeah.
And he popped up with a goal, didn't he, in the first
Yeah,
game?
you're right. Yeah, that was a massive goal for us as well. As I said, we didn't play very well against Switzerland. I don't really know why. We were very slow and lethargic, and we really didn't get anything going. So to get a goal from Moore, was massive. To get off to at least getting a point in the first game. And he's been important for us. I mean, I know we benched him against Italy because he's on a yellow card anyway. And I think we do offer a lot more when he's playing, because he offers us that sort of target man. But, he does also do a lot more than that, And I think it's hard to look past Ward as well. I tipped him to be our goalkeeper. It was obviously between him and Hennessy, initially on who was going to start. And he's been absolutely faultless. I mean, especially against Switzerland. I mean, we could have been 2 or 3-0 down before we got that goal without him. And he really hasn't put a foot wrong. He's really come up big when he's needed to. And especially since he hasn't hardly played all season, to put in the performances that he has done has been brilliant. So yeah, from a fantasy point of view, I had Bale, and especially against Turkey, did really well for us. But yeah, I think it's hard to look past obviously Bale, Ramsey, and Dan James. But on top of that, you've got Moore, Ward, and Connor Roberts as well. Obviously, came up with a goal against Turkey as well, and they've been just really good defensively.
Would you say Bell's had a good tournament? Because a lot of people have said, he played well against Turkey with those 2 great passes and the assists, but he hasn't scored yet, I don't believe.
No.
And would you say you were disappointed with him? Is he one of your players that you're hoping to kind of kick on if you're going to, against Denmark tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm much on the same lines as that. I don't actually think he's had a brilliant tournament. I think he's shown glimpses of doing well. I mean, obviously, we look at the penalty that he missed. He did set up the second goal with, a bit of magic, but it's almost that he's kind of flattered to deceive a little bit. He is obviously our main guy, but I would have liked to have seen a bit more from him. But it's more sort of flashes that he's shown rather than actually dominating games. So I think for us to go further in the tournament, he does really need to step up a little bit. And I'm hoping that, now that it's sort of, knockout tournament, that, he might take a bit more on his shoulders and go from there. But he's been a little bit of a supporting cast at the moment. Ramsey's been massive for us. And I would say that he's had a far better tournament so far than Bale. But hopefully he can step up against Denmark and really sort of show what he's done over the last few years, really.
Okay. Morton, same question for you then. Who's been your standout players, would you say, in the group stages?
I think my assessment would just be based on the Russia and Belgium game.
Yeah.
As expected, Male on the left wing back has been really great offensively, and he's been really dangerous.
And I remember you tipping him before the tournament as well.
Yeah. He was one of my main picks, and he's done really well. And I think the captain Kjær, I will single him out as the captain, as he's been really solid. That's maybe an understatement. He's been really good in the back, together with Christensen and Vestergaard. And then we have Poulsen up front, who scored 2 goals. So he's been better than expected. We've missed a lot of chances. I think Denmark has had the most shots on goal of any team in the group stage. So we haven't been we haven't been
clinical.
Yeah, clinical, exactly. And then obviously we had Damsgaard, who came in the starting 11 versus Belgium and did a really, really good, performed really well. And he was one of my picks for the Russia game, and he performed really well there as well, together with Mele. And then, I mean, as I could single out most of them. Maybe one disappointment has actually been Schmeichel. He has had some crucial saves, but he has had. Maybe I'm just judging him on the Finland blue. What do you call it?
I think.
I don't think it's fair to judge.
No, but it's not exactly. It's not fair, but it's yeah.
I mean, we have seen, and like for Leicester, a couple of times towards the end of the season where there have been similar goals that he's conceded, like that one that was it Polo scored against Denmark, where it was fairly close to him, and not being as decisive enough with the save, or not reacting quick enough. I've seen that a couple of times with him, and it's quite worrying, actually, because he is supposed to be, like, you'd argue that he's one of the top keepers in the Premier League.
Yeah, for sure.
And when these sort of things creep in, and he's not young, but he's not old either, is he? He's supposed to be sort of in his prime, and it's
what is 32, something like that.
It's a little bit alarming, maybe.
I mean, I'm not worried. It's just I might just overall have a bit higher expectations for him. I must say, and then we have in the central midfield, we had Højbjerg and Delaney, who's been really good as well. Solid, nothing outstanding.
Was there any players that you don't, other than Schmeichel, that you think you were disappointed with in the group stages, but you really need them to help you if you're going to beat Wales tomorrow? Because one thing that does, I know you mentioned Mæhle and Kjær. Other than the, I can't include the Finland game because of what happened, but obviously you've conceded in both the other games. You haven't kept a clean sheet yet. Does that worry you at all?
No, because Belgium is a really good side, and we had a good hold on them until De Bruyne came on and Hazard, and the goal Russia scored. I don't think that's a penalty. I've seen it quite a few times in replay, and I don't think that's is a penalty. So that could have been a clean sheet, and then we might have talked differently about it. So I'm not worried. It was just like a statement that I might have expected more from Schmeichel overall, but he hasn't been poor. It's just been average, but his average is obviously really is good. So he could be a key player that needs to step up just a bit to keep Wales from scoring.
Overall, are you happy with your attack, with the attack with Poulsen and Braithwaite?
Poulsen, I'm pretty pleased with. He's been dangerous, but I think, as I mentioned, with all the shots we have, we need to score more. and Braithwaite has been somewhat wasteful.
I saw an interesting stat before match day 3 about Martin Braithwaite. He had 12 shots on goal. How many do you think were on target?
2 tops.
One.
Yeah.
Which is horrendous. For a striker that, I mean, he is on the bench at Barcelona, but he's still playing for Barcelona. And
but he's never really been a clinical striker. He's good at challenging or with the deep runs and stretching the defense. That's what he does best, and what he also does at Barcelona. Maybe he's even the best at that team for doing just that. But he does need some finishing. That's for sure. But the revelation has been Damsgaard. He has to start again. I think we'll start in the same way as we did with Russia. Is he playing
false 9?
No, he's playing the left. The left winger. I think they're just interchanging a lot. The 3 up front, so they just see where each other are, and then they take positions from there. So they're pretty fluent up there.
Because Mæhle's coming so far up. And he's so far forward, then Damsgaard he kind of comes inside a little bit, doesn't he?
Exactly. Yeah, Damsgaard cuts in a lot, so Mæhle has space on the outside, and Braithwaite is he plays more wide than Damsgaard because Daniel Vess, he's a bit more defensive minded from a tactical point of view. So his crosses is more from deep, and then obviously he goes with the 1-2 overlaps and crosses from deep. From byline a few times. But Mæhle has much more freedom to attack than Vess has.
Okay. Carwyn, from an assets point of view, then, who do you think we should be considering for tomorrow's game and beyond? I know you mentioned obviously Bell, Ramsey, James earlier, but if we were to pick 1 or 2 that you think, I think they're going to have a really good game specifically tomorrow and beyond, who would you say? And or do you think it's worth picking any Wales players?
For me, we've seen pretty solid at the back. So I've got Ward in. I think he was 4 million. And he's done exceptionally well. And then much like the preview pod, the Connor Roberts is obviously, we scored 1, but he's also been really good going forward as well. I think the main person for us is Ramsey. I think he's 8.5 million. So he's rather on the expensive side, but he's been immense so far this tournament, and obviously he's come up with a goal as well. And him, lots of his runs from deep as well have been exceptional. Basically, we've caught out teams a lot of the times, from him running deep and balls coming over the top. So I would go for that. And Dan James as well. I was really close to putting him in a bit more. It's one of those that you've got to obviously there's a few players that we could put in, but it depends on who's going to be sort of the most important for us. And I think, going back to the preview pods we had, Ramsey and Bale, pretty much most things go through them. So, even though the price wise, for instance, if Wales do win tomorrow, you can bet that they will pick up good points because they'll be integral to actually, for us to win. So I think, defensively would be Ward and Connor Roberts for me. And then going forward, then it would be probably a pick between Dan James and Ramsey, I think, would be the better sort of price picks, really.
Who have you got in your side so far?
I've got Ward, and I've put in Bale as well, because I feel like if we're going to do something tomorrow, I think he's going to really step up and be key for us. Yeah. And it's one of those that I'm hoping that, for instance, if he does get a goal, he'll really kick on from there. And, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets another one. And, he's had a couple of assists as well. So I'm putting my eggs in sort of the Bale basket for tomorrow and hope that he can, shine a bit more than what he's done in the group stages then, really.
Okay, Morten, same question for you. If we're looking at a pool of assets for the Denmark game tomorrow and beyond, who should we be looking at?
In danger of repeating myself, it has to be Joachim Mæhle again on the defensive side. He's been really attacking. He's in the same attacking league as Dumfries in Holland. He takes up the same offensive positions, and he runs with the ball at the defense, and he dribbles more than he crosses. So he gets really dangerous when he gets into the box. And yeah, Damsgaard is a really good value for money pick on the midfield. He's playing on the left winger and cuts in, and as we saw versus Russia, he can also bend it in from distance. I think Poulsen, even though he's scored 2 goals, then 8.2 is too much for his potential. Again, he might get a goal, but at 8.2, it's still a lot. And
Okay,
then I think.
Sorry.
Yes, just one. Yeah, and I think a dark horse could, and a little bit more expensive than Mæhle would be Vestergaard at 5 million in the defense. He's had a few good headers, which been close, and he's a danger man from set pieces.
Yeah, who have you got so far in your side? Go on, Carwin. What were you going to say?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to add into that Wales have looked a little bit suspect when it comes to set pieces as well, so that could be a good shout.
And I also think Vestergaard will play if of the expectations that Wales going to play keeper more on top, because he's a big guy, but so we're going to play with 3 in the back again, I think. So yeah.
What players do you have so far then in your squad from Denmark?
I have Mæhle, Damsgaard, and Vestergaard.
Oh, so you've gone all 3.
I gone 3. So I was contemplating Kjær for 4.5, and that's a viable option as well. But he's not really dangerous, so that's more just a value pick for clean sheets.
Okay, right. Let's get a non-biased opinion then, because obviously, both of your opinions are going to be biased. I'm going to ask before I go to Rob. I'm going to ask each of you. Morten, would you take any of Welsh assets? And Carwin, would you take any Danish assets? So, Morten, are you taking any Welsh assets?
I'm not, but if I were to pick one, it would be Ramsey. As Carwin mentioned, with his run from deep, he's been really dangerous, and he's one of the world's best at exactly that. So I think he will hurt us the most. Yeah.
Okay, Carwin, are you going to take any Danish assets?
I've got Kjær in mainly if we don't score, it'll be at least slightly better for my fantasy football. But I'm hoping that he's not going to pick up many points tomorrow.
Okay.
Pick Mæhle instead.
Yeah, pick Mæhle instead.
After this conversation, I'm going to, yeah.
Right, Rob, from a non-biased point of view then, who would you be looking at to pick from this game? And
I'll just go with one from each, and they're 2 players that have both been mentioned by the guys. And from Wales, Danny Ward, he's been brilliant.
What is his price? Is it 4 million?
4.7 now.
4.7. Okay.
Yeah, he's a bit of a save point magnet. He kind of he's like Emilio Martinez, just picks up save point after save point after save point. And I think the same will happen against Denmark. There will be times when the Danish will put them under pressure and he'll pick up save points again. Obviously, with it being the Saturday tie, it means you can have him as your cheap goalkeeper, and then have another backup keeper. So if he doesn't keep the clean sheet, or somehow pick up like 4 points from saves, which I think he has done. I think in the Italy game, I think he got 4 points still. So yeah, if he can't do that, then yeah, you've got 3 more days worth of fixtures to have another crack at it with a keeper. From Denmark, it's Joachim Mæhle. He's been brilliant, and I think was it the fourth goal against Russia? It just kind of summed him up, and it was like you could see that happening for the last like 2 and 3/4 games. That was coming because he was having shots, he was creating chances, and there was times when they were breaking forward in games, and he'd be sort of one of the furthest forward players, and that happened with that goal, and it was a brilliant finish in the end. So I'd probably go with him. I think, because I do think it is a tight game. I'm not saying that to keep you all happy. I think it is quite a tight game. I might go with a second either way, but I'm not too sure at the moment. I might just go one. I might go with one from each, and kind of hedge your bets a little bit, because there's other games where it's sort of more one-sided, which we'll go on to talk about, where I think it's better to be getting 3 or even 4 assets.
Before I ask you for your predictions, Rob, have you got any questions for either of these two on the game?
Well, I'm guessing the predictions is going to be my question, and who the fuck's going to win?
No, before I ask them their prediction, do you have any questions?
I don't have
that
any.
Is your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Carwyn, what's your prediction for the game?
I think Wales will win 2-1.
Okay, Morton.
Yeah, just a comment on Ward, because if we are wasteful, I guess you could pick up a decent amount of points, so that makes a lot of sense for that price. But I think we'll win 2-0, and the 2-0 goal will come late, because then you'll have to get forward, and we'll hit them on the counter.
Okay, and Rob, what's your prediction? Which one of the reps do you want to upset?
Actually, I don't want to upset the missus, so let's say I'm going to go 2-1 Wales after extra time.
Ooh, nice. Interesting. I'm going for a 2-0 Denmark win. Sorry, Colwyn. Right. Okay. Do you boys want to say anything else about the game? Is there anything else that you want to add before we move on?
I think I'm all good.
Yeah, all good. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so let's move on then to previewing some of the remaining 7 games. The first one to look at is Italy and Austria. And Morton, you're looking at this one. So, what's your thoughts on this game?
My thoughts are that Italy is going to win somewhat effortless. I know it's a knockout tie, but I think the difference in quality will just show in this match, and Italy also rested their key players versus Wales as well, so they will be fresh and ready to go. Haven't conceded and have played some really nice attacking football, fluent football, and it's not the Italy we know from the former days where they nick a 1-0 win and then they just sit back, so they keep on attacking. And I don't fancy Austria at all for this game.
Okay. From an assets point of view, then, who would you be looking at, or who are you looking at? And is it an all-in with 4, or does it really depend on your strategy?
Yeah, I got 4 from Italy. I got Donnarumma, Spinazzola, who's been really good, similar kind of type as Mele on the left back, really attacking. And then we have Berardi on the right wing at a decent price. I think it's 6.2 now after price rises. So he's a good midfield option. And then I have Immobile up top. I think he will score a few. So he's my captain for the first day as well.
Okay, Carwyn, Rob, anything to add on top of that?
Not much the same, really. Even though Italy did rest a lot of their players against Wales, they were still by far the better team. As you said, they haven't conceded a goal in God knows how long now. I think they're going to win it really comfortably, and I think probably they're going to be a couple up early on and walk it, really.
Rob, question for you. Immobile versus Insigne, a lot of people will be debating between the two, or even Immobile versus Insigne versus Berardi. Value aside, price-wise aside, who do you think's a better pick?
Immobile.
Immobile, yeah.
but I think there are other players as well that you might want to get in. That also like other forwards that are good to target. So he might not be the best pick for your team as a whole. But I think he's got the highest ceiling out of those three. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Has anyone else thought about Locatelli as well after his 2 goals?
I did think of him, but I'm worried that Verratti might come in for him.
Right, yeah.
So, and I think, Berardi playing in the 3 at the top, because Berardi is likely to play ahead of Chiesa. I think he's probably better value for Locatelli just because he's playing in the front 3 and he's classed as a midfielder.
Yeah,
and he's only 6.2 million.
One thing I wouldn't argue against in this game is a triple up on defenders plus one of Insigne, Berardi, or Immobile. Like go with Bonucci, Donnarumma, Spinazzola, and then one of those 3. And I think there you've got at least 20 points locked in. Because you've got your 3 clean sheets and at least an appearance points.
I think it's worth to mention Di Lorenzo as well. He's at 5.1. He could be a more cheap way into the defense, and he plays the right back, not as offensive, but as Spinazzola, but he still gets forward, so he could be a good pick as well.
My only worry about the triple up, Rob, and I did consider that, was they play Belgium or Portugal in the next tie. So that would be my only concern. Whilst Italy have been immense at the back, do they keep a clean sheet against a Belgium or Portugal? Is it as nailed on against like Russia?
I think it depends. It depends how safe you're going with the rest of your team, because if you're going safe enough that you can then move. Like the plan I had in my head, if you were going to do that, is you'd then move one of your Italian defenders, because they're going to have Belgium or Portugal and then likely France after that. So then you'd move one of your Italian defenders for an England or Germany player.
Yeah.
Because then on that side of the draw, like you could then go with Gosens, Shaw, Walker, or but like you could pick any of those 8 defenders and have a decent. You've got a good fixture in the next round.
Yeah, my only concern, and if you have landed in a position where in the quarterfinals you've got 15 players who are still in the competition, then I'm not against that at all. My only concern with that is if 2 or 3 of your players have been knocked out, you're not going to be in a position to be able to do that.
Yeah, I understand that, but yeah, I think it depends how safe you're going with your picks. So if you're loading up on Italy, France, Netherlands, as like the main core of your team with those 3, and then like one England, one Germany to play it safe, one Belgium, one Portugal to play it safe, then yeah, you might be able to afford that. Like you might be able to afford to then be able to use one of those transfers coming out of the round of 16 just as like a sideways move, going from a harder fixture into an easier fixture from one of your premium players. And also if you're obviously if you're on the wild card, if you've got your wild card for the quarterfinals, then I think it would be silly not to go with 3 Italian defenders.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, let's move on to the next fixture. Netherlands and the Czech Republic. And Morten, you are looking at this one as well.
Yeah, and I fancy Holland for this game. They've played really well in their group ties, and we have Dumfries, as I mentioned earlier, as a really attacking fullback who's been playing really well. Could have had a few more goals actually, if he's been a bit more clinical. And yeah, they've played some good football, and Wijnaldum also has been really dangerous in front of goal. I'm kind of Depay could or should have scored more, but he's been really good for the team as well. I'm thinking whether Weghorst will get back into the side after he was rested in the third game. I think so. So they got this big center forward to target man to aim for. And the Czech Republic, I actually expected a bit more of them. I saw them versus England, and I actually fancied them to nick a result there, but yeah, they didn't. And I had some expectation that they would play better, and so I think it will be a close game, but Holland to win by 1.
I haven't seen a single side without Dumfries, Depay, and Wijnaldum in yet. Like, I literally have not seen one. Have you, all three of you, got them 3 in?
Yeah, I've got the 3 of them.
I only got Dumfries. I think now the problem with Holland is they only got 1 more game to play. So if they win Czech, they're going to be beaten by Denmark. I hope. So that's why the triple of Denmark is good.
The man pictured above you might disagree with that.
Yeah. I was contemplating saying that they will get knocked out by either Denmark or Wales, but I'm just, when I click on 2-0 Denmark, then I have to.
This is how it all kicks off. Then we're talking about Netherlands v Czech Republic and their potential opponents in the next round, and then it kicks off between you two.
Any four? So, Carl, when you said you're on them 3, have you looked at a 4th asset?
I was thinking maybe Weghorst, but other than that, the only other one I was thinking of was possibly Van Aanholt as well, because he's tended to be the number 1 left back or wing back. So those were the 2 that there was a potential, but yeah, other than that, I've not really looked at other than those 3, because those 3 are the ones that have got all the points so far, really, haven't they?
Yeah. Rob, any Czech players worth looking at in this game?
I think the only player I'd really look at is Patrick Schick.
Yeah.
He's good in the air, and the Netherlands, the only time they've really been tested defensively was against Ukraine, and they almost failed that test. They conceded twice very quickly in that game. They've looked a bit more sure at the back with De Ligt in there when he returned from injury. I wouldn't really be looking other than Patrick Schick if I was wanting sort of a cheaper forward. He's at 8.4. I wouldn't really be looking at defenders, because potentially Netherlands could come out and blow them away, and you end up, it's just a waste of a pick, I think, if that happened.
You fancy Holland to score?
Yeah, and I think if we see the same Dutch team that we saw in match day 3, we could see them score a fair few, I think, because they looked like a team that was high on confidence and at it that night.
Okay, anyone else got anything to add on this game?
No.
Nope. Okay, let's move on to Belgium versus Portugal. And Carwin, you looked at this one. What are your thoughts? Just quickly, I need to get a glass of water. So, Rob, if you can just carry on for a second.
Yep.
So, I'll be back in a
minute. So I think this is probably going to be the best match of the last 16. Both teams are full of sort of stars and stuff like that. Obviously, I really like the look of the Belgium team going forward. I mean, De Bruyne is on top form. Lukaku is just prolific. It was interesting to see Hazard. He at least played 90 minutes for the match before, so it'd be interesting to see if he starts. My only worry about Belgium is just the defence, really. It's an aging defence, and I don't think it's sort of hugely top quality. And I think with the likes of Ronaldo, I think that could be their downfall. With Portugal, I kind of expected more from them in the group stage. I know they had, obviously the hardest group, but they didn't really sort of set the world alight. But obviously with Ronaldo in the team, you know what he's like. He's so prolific that, he could take advantage of that. But I think it's going to be a really good match. And to be honest, neither defence sort of fills me with much hope of any clean sheets and stuff. So I've tried to kind of steer clear of that. So I think it's going to be probably a high-scoring game.
I'm not sure what I missed. However, and I'm not sure if you cover this, but one question I was going to ask is: do you think it's worth picking any assets from this game just because of it's going to be really tight?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because obviously one of the teams are going to go out, and I've got Lukaku and Ronaldo because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think either defence is going to really cope with either one of them. But obviously, then going into next game week, you're going to have to transfer one of them out because obviously one's left. I've not got anyone near any of the defences there. I was contemplating putting Renato Sanchez in. He came in, I think it was the second match he came on, and he was really good. And I think he's going to start now. Pre-tournament, I was contemplating possibly Bruno Fernandes, but he really hasn't shown up. I think he struggles to be in kind of Ronaldo's shadow, whereas at United, he's, number one. So yeah, the main ones would be obviously the obvious ones are Lukaku and Ronaldo.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, Morten and Rob, the same question, just because I think this game is really tough to call. Worth picking De Bruyne or Lukaku, Morten?
I got both of those.
Or Ronaldo? You've got both Belgian players.
Yeah, I fancy Belgium to win. I think they're just a overall better side. So I think they will go through. So I just went with that and then say, okay, who's gonna get the goals and assists? It's gonna be De Bruyne and Lukaku, and they're expensive, and then I have a headache if they fall out.
Rob, question for you: Lukaku versus De Bruyne, which one?
Lukaku. Full stop.
Full stop.
I think we've seen it, and that De Bruyne is probably the best player, and Joachim said this in the preview pods, and it was confirmed really in the second half of match day 2 and then in match day 3. De Bruyne's the best player, but the most important player is Lukaku. And I think if you're going with the player that you think is going to score the most fantasy points, it's going to be Lukaku, I think. But generally, De Bruyne might be the man that, for every goal that Lukaku scores, De Bruyne might be the man that's assisting it. But yeah, I'm personally going Lukaku.
Okay, anyone got anything else to add on this game?
Yeah, I think if you fancy Portugal to get a result, then I think there's a good value in Diego Jota at 8.6. He's been assisting and scoring, so he could be a cheaper way into their attack if you fancy Portugal.
Okay, right. Let's move on to the next game: Croatia versus Spain. And Robbie, you're looking at this one.
This is I think it's an interesting one because Croatia kind of stepped up in match day 3 and got the result against Scotland. I still think there's a lot of flags going on about them. I'm interested to see what will happen against a Spanish team that looks like it might have found itself a little bit in match day 3. And then again, Croatia are going to be probably spending a lot of time chasing after the ball. We know this Spanish team, they like to keep the ball. A lot of sort of this tiki-taka, as people like to say, and we saw a lot of that against Slovakia the other night. On the other hand, Spain, you're not sure which Spain is going to turn up. We did say that the return of Sergio Busquets was a huge plus for them. It kind of shored them up in the midfield and allowed players like Pedri to come forward and assist with the attack. But I'm wondering, personally, I'm not sure whether the attack that we see on Monday is going to be the same attack that we saw on Wednesday afternoon. We saw that Sarabia played as almost a left winger, which, I mean, he really I'm not sure if it's more Slovakia were poor or he was really good, but he kind of ripped him to shreds. With I think got two assists and a goal, didn't he? Whether Danny Olmo comes back in and plays in that role. Morata, we don't know what's going on there, whether it's going to be him or Moreno or both of them. It's just the constant saga with who's leading the line for Spain. But I think he will start again. I don't know why. I don't know what he has. I don't know what he has to do wrong to not start for Spain. So yeah, I think I'd lead towards 1-0 Spain, and I might. I'm thinking of just going with Pau Torres as a value pick defensively because they have looked a bit better at the back. Maybe Pedri in midfield as if you're looking for a 6 million, there's only really him or Kimmich. Maybe him as we know that he likes to get forward, and he was involved in the build up to two or three of Spain's goals the other night. I'm not keen on anyone from Croatia apart from even Perisic, but at 8.6, I'm not completely sold on that.
Okay. Morton, are there any assets that you like in this Spanish side? And a lot of people have been talking about Sarabia, 6.5. What's your thoughts on him and any other Spanish assets that you like?
I thought that Sarabia looked really, really good with Slovakia. But that being said, I think it was also on a cheap background. What do you say that? They were poor, Slovakia, and Spain had been poor in the two previous games. But I'm looking forward to the tie. I'm going to the stadium to see it.
Oh, are you?
So,
nice.
Yeah. Okay. So looking
Is
forward
it in
to that
Copenhagen?
game. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So that would be interesting. Also, as Rob mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see how Croatia will cope with the Spain possession, and let's see which Morata turns up that day.
I think Croatia, they showed it in the England game that they spent large periods of that game kind of chasing the ball a bit, and I'm not sure if it was the excessive heat that day. It was fucking hot. We don't normally say that about the UK, but it was fucking hot that Sunday. They just looked a bit leggy in the second half, and I know we've spoken about it before. Is this Croatian side are sort of they're aging, and will they have enough in the tank going late into the game, especially some of the more experienced players who they need
when they're
to
chasing the ball, right?
Yeah, and these experienced players are going to be needing to help getting up there and really pressing, especially if they were behind. And I'm just not sure they've got it.
Harwin, you got anything else to add on this game?
Not much of the same, really. I'm just still amazed the fact that Morata is still, the number one striker in Spain. I mean, everywhere he's gone, he just never seems to score anything. So I'm very surprised with that. But it'll be a good match, and I guess it'll depend on sort of whether Modric does anything or anything like that then.
Okay. Only one thing that I'll say on this game is I know you did mention him, Rob, about Pau Torres. A lot of people are saying that Garcia might be starting. Obviously, Garcia started the last game. Just something for people to kind of be wary of his rotation. Even with Sarabia, I have Sarabia on my side, but I'm aware that obviously with rotation, we don't really know what that Spanish side is going to look like, to be honest. Right, okay, let's move on to the next game. And Carwin, you were looking at this one, is France versus Switzerland.
Yeah. Sort of much like Portugal in the group stages, France, I watched the matches and they didn't really seem that great. I was a bit disappointed, but then I think they started quite slow in the World Cup as well, didn't they? So they might just be sort of building into the tournament. Obviously, the one thing is a big boost for them. The Benzema's back and scoring now. I know that, he's been a massive player for Real, and he does offer. I think he offers more than Giroud, even though Giroud's goal-scoring record for France is exceptional. I mean, from my point of view, I can't see France losing this. I think they're going to win it quite comfortably. I don't necessarily think it'll be the best game in the world. I think from the Swiss point of view, Shaqiri's obviously the main guy for them. And when we played Switzerland, Mbolo up top was really good as well. So I think a lot will depend on whether they play well. But from my point of view, I think France will win comfortably. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a total blowout, but with the likes of Mbappe and Benzema, I mean, Griezmann hasn't really, or doesn't feel like he's offered that much, but I think it's more the work rate and stuff that he gets through. But yeah, I mean, France's squad is just unreal. So I think that they're just going to have way too much for the Swiss. So I think it's going to be around about 2-0 to France.
Okay. Yeah. Morton, I've seen a lot of sides going with one attacker, be it Benzema, most people Benzema, but Benzema or Mbappe, and defender being in Kimpembe or Varane. Do you think it's worth getting a third, maybe a Pogba? A lot of people have I've been seeing I've been seeing Pogba in the side. I didn't watch the France versus Portugal game, but everyone was saying that he was immense. Do you think it's worth a Pogba in your side?
I think it's a choice. Yeah, it's a choice that you have to make, whether it's worth it and how long you will back France for. I got the three you just mentioned: Kimpembe, Benzema, and Pogba in my side. My concern is that they have had trouble breaking down defenses, which just been standing low and just defending, covering their area, while they've been more inclined to perform better when they've got some space to run into or pass into. I don't think that will be the case here with Switzerland. Thinking they will be defending pretty deep, but it's a matter of when they'll get the first goal. So Switzerland will have to come forward. So if Switzerland can keep it 0-0 tie to halftime, then it could be interesting to see whether Mbolo or Shaqiri can do something, or Seferovic for that matter. So yeah.
Okay, Rob, anything else to add?
No, I don't think we're going to see the French below Switzerland away, because as the guys have said, they will sit. They'll sit back and defend very deep, and the French have struggled with that. We saw it very, very much against Hungary. I think was a prime example of it. Although I think you can back their defence. The Swiss have been. I mean, they did play well in match day 3, but against a very weak Turkish defence. I think they're coming up against a much better defence in Kimpembe and Varane, with Kante in front of them. Like you'd argue that that's probably the best sort of defensive, like central defensive trio, like triangle, in the tournament at the moment. So yeah, I'd be backing France for a clean sheet. So yeah. At the moment, I've got Hugo Lloris in my draft. I I'm thinking of adding Kimpembe as well, as he's fairly cheap.
Okay, right. Let's move on to the next game, which is England versus Germany. And I'm just going to say one thing on this. Rob goes to nearly every England match. However, he's not going to this one. I've only ever been to one England game, and I am going to this one. So fuck you, Rob. Sorry, I just had to get that in there. Rob, let's talk about this game.
Takes the piss, that does. I sit there through like these part-time fans come along turn up for major tournaments. It's like the people that get the front row in the pub for a big England game, and you're just like, I go to every game, and you're the one sitting in the front row, but you'll be the one saying Southgate shit on Tuesday night if we lose. Anyway, this game, I don't know where to start. I don't want to be too confident, but I am a little bit confident. I think this German side isn't a German side that that most of us are used to. I can't remember really in my lifetime a German side that seems so unorganised. Where we see a lot of structure and organisation within the way that German national teams play. I don't see that at the moment, and I think a perfect example of that was Hungary's second goal the other night. Normally, Germany equalised in that game. Half an hour to go, I think it was, 25 minutes to go, and you kind of go, right, the Germans are gonna, right, this is it now. They'll either just shut up shop, and that'll be it, game over, or they'll push on, get 2 or 3. And before they'd even thought about organising, Hungary were back in the lead again. And I know one of our listeners, not sure he's watching this evening, FPL Pato, was in the crowd in Munich.
Oh, was he? I didn't know
that night, and he said that everyone was still celebrating, and Hungary scored, and there was just this confusion in the whole stadium of what the fuck has just happened, because they didn't realise until the Tannoy announcement saying "Goal Hungary."
Oh shit! But that is such an England thing to happen as well. Like I could just imagine England doing that.
So I'm not sure. I mean, from an England point of view, I think they've defended very well. I think if you were going to be targeting assets for England, you target defenders. They haven't. You could argue that they haven't been really tested by a top attack, but yeah, you can only sort of go up against what's been up against you. And people have raved about Italy, but they haven't really been tested by a top team. No offense, Colin. But they haven't been really tested by a top side. So you could argue the same for England and defensively. I think where Luke Shaw is a lock-in at left back, and he seems to be out of the 2 fullbacks, seems to be the one that gets forward the most. Even if England move into a 5-back, I think it would be Walker joining Stones and Maguire rather than Shaw, which was spoken about a lot pre-tournament. And with Chilwell he's not going to be joining training until Monday at the earliest, so it basically rules him out of Tuesday. You'd never him and Mount are not playing on Tuesday. It would be stupid to even think that they could just join in at that stage. So Luke Shaw, I think, is a brilliant option. He's been getting forward. He's been getting himself in that pocket on the left-hand side behind the defence. He got in that space a couple of times against Scotland and put some balls in the box and nothing came of it. It happened again against Czech Republic and nothing came of it. And I think at some point he is like an assist is going to come from that, or we've seen him for Man United. He continues that run past the defence and then he comes inside, and we saw that against Man City for Man United this season, and he got a goal. So I'm wondering, whether something like that could happen with him. Whilst on the other side, Walker or James, I think it's more likely to be Walker. I'm not sure about that side at the moment. From an attacking point of view, Kane will score eventually. You can all. I don't
Next
think
season or in
I
Europe?
mean, I think Harry Kane. We know he's a good enough player that at some point he will score. And the moment he does score, that just
Sounds like gambler's fallacy to
that
me,
gets
Rob.
him going. Well, no, I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about like the best, like arguably like in the top 5 number 9s in the world, if not top 3 number 9s in the world, and these players they score.
He's looked way off the mark, though, hasn't he?
He
That's the
has,
problem.
yeah, but against Czech Republic, he looked with the way that they set up and the players around him, he looked a much better player.
My only concern in that Czech Republic game, and when I saw it, there was a couple of times where the Kane that we know of would have shot, and he didn't shoot, and he squared it instead. There was a couple of times I saw that, and I was like, the Kane that we know, the confident Kane, would shoot. Why is he not shooting?
I don't think you can write off Harry Kane. Like, he's a good enough striker that, like, how many times does he go 4 games in a row without scoring?
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time that happened? Like, even if he didn't score against Germany, I'd back him again in the quarterfinals. I'd back him again. Like, I'd keep backing him to score because I know that at some point he will score along the line. Other than that, like attacking wise, from an England perspective, apart from Raheem Sterling, I don't know who's going to start. Like there's an argument for Grealish. There's an argument for Foden. There's an argument for Sancho. There's an argument now for Saka. He was brilliant. I think he should start with that performance he put in the other night. There's an argument there. I think if England play a 5-back, Saka could start as a right wing back. Like that is very much in my mind at the moment. So I just think the fact that the press conference is on Monday for this game, so we're not even going to get a kind of an idea about who's starting. It's just a gamble to go with anyone of the midfielders. I mean, you wouldn't go for any of the attackers other than Kane, but any of the midfielders, I think it's just a gamble to go for any of them. So, yeah, defence. And then with Germany, I think it's Havertz is the one standout as the false 9 in that team. And Gosens, if you feel like Germany will win, go with both of them. If not, then I'd either go Gosens or Havertz. I'd probably go Gosens just because I could spend that 9.1 on another player.
Morten, as a non-English or German, how do you think this game goes? Because I think this is the first time that I can remember that England are favourites from a bookie's point of view in an England versus Germany game. Do you put England favourites or not?
No. I think it's obviously a really close game, but it's between two sides that has been disappointing. I think England has been... It's been quite boring to see them play. And as you say, with Kane, he hasn't looked himself. and I would disagree with Rob that you would. I think you can argue that you can go Sterling as a pick, as he's listed as a midfielder. So he's a more informed player. But I think, from my point of view, I'll back Germany to win this. Close tie nonetheless. Probably if it goes to penalty shootout, we know England's going to lose.
Brutal.
We're 2-2 in our last 2 penalty shootouts. Thank you very much.
Should we go further back then?
No, we just talk about penalty shootouts under Southgate.
Okay.
Well,
Well, it's a good job he's not taking a penalty then, isn't it? Colin, have you got any? Sorry, go on, Morten.
I'll just finish off. I'm backing Germany to win this one.
Okay, Colin, any additional thoughts on this game?
As a Welshman, I'm going for Germany to win.
This is always going to happen.
There's no way that I can say or want England to
win. His door would get kicked in if he said anything else.
I don't know. Every time I watch England, I mean, with some of the players that they've got, it just, I don't know. It's just really boring to watch. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Southgate picked Trippier to play at left back again, like he did the first game, which wouldn't make any sense to me, but it didn't make sense to me in the first match either. You can pretty much guarantee that they're going to play with 2 defensive midfielders. Obviously, Kane's not quite there, but as you said, he's going to score at some point. I mean, he's done that for years, hasn't he? Germany have been quite poor. They were lucky. I mean, they were lucky to get a draw against Hungary. But you just can't. Well, I just can't sort of see Germany not winning it. I think it'll be a close match, but maybe it's just my heart that hopes that Germany wins over England. But I think it's going to be a tough match, but I'm going to go with the near sort of Germany win.
I mean, with this German defense, like I spoke about how structured they are. I mean, Hummels, Rudiger, Gint, like none of these players really. I think with the likes of Sterling, Grealish, or Foden, or Saka, or like any of these players running at them, I think they'll really, really struggle.
I mean, this is a game for Sterling to run behind, isn't it? I mean, this is perfect for him with his pace.
I think if England get the first goal, I think it's game over. Because, as Morten said, very boring. Like we are, but I think that's sort of. I think it's more brave that Southgate is playing in that way than if he chose to like go all out attack at every game. He's basically teaching his team how to grind results and not concede and be tough to beat. Which this England side, I think they might not be the most pleasing to the eye. And I spoke the other night about on TalkSport after the game. They had Mourinho on, and the way England play is Chelsea in 2005 or 2004, whenever it was. Like this side, they take a lead in the first half, come out in the second half, shut up shop. That's it. Like you're not getting near us. And I could very much see that happen. England getting another early lead, and kind of the game just being an awful, like there's such a spectacle for everyone, but it being an awful watch, and my fingernails would have disappeared. But I think they'll grind out that 1-0 win.
Echoing your thoughts, Rob. Right, in I guess winners of competitions gone by, they've grinded out 0-0s or 1-0s and ended up winning the tournament. Portugal being a perfect example. They were shit to watch, but they ended up winning 2016, the last Euros. We have
Greece did
historically
it.
tried.
Spain did it in 2012. They were
We have
horrendous.
historically tried to play this expansive football, attacking football, and always got knocked out. And now we're trying to play this rugged defensive, grind out these 1-0 wins, a different type of football that we're used to. But I think for tournament football, it works. So maybe that's kind of what we need. In terms of picks, I've gone for Gosens myself. I think if it is going to be an attacking game, Gosens might be involved because he was just ridiculously attacking in that Portugal game. So I've put him in. Morton, you put your hand up. I don't know if it was by mistake, but
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. I just think that the same point could be made about Gnabry and Havertz and Müller running in spaces and in behind Stones and Maguire. Those two are historically in Premier League somewhat error prone as well. So I think they'll have their hands full as well. And Germany is just also historically a really good tournament side. So they'll turn up in these knockout phases. I'm pretty confident of that. So it is going to be close, but I think I think the England defense will have the hands full as well.
Okay, let's go on to the next game. In the last game, Rob, let's quickly try and wrap this one up. Sweden versus Ukraine.
Sweden versus Ukraine. It's probably I haven't had the easiest of fixtures. I had this one in Croatia versus Spain as my.
I mean, you could probably sum this one up in about 30 seconds. To be fair,
I think it could be. I like this fixture to attack. But Forsberg is the standout for Sweden. I'd still like Isaac, even though he hasn't returned. He does a lot of things that are right, and it would be a shame for him not to get a return in this tournament because he has been brilliant. Ukraine, I said this the other night. If Malinovsky isn't performing isn't at the top of his game and performing, they're gonna struggle because he's the player that kind of makes them tick in midfield. And when he came off at half time the other night, they were playing badly before, but they were horrendous after that. They couldn't move the ball forward, and it kind of left Yarmolenko and Yaremchuk a little bit isolated, and them struggling in the other half. Zinchenko couldn't do that job that Malinovsky does in the middle. So they really need him. If he performs, I think that if he turns up, then the likes of Yarmolenko, Yaremchuk are good options again, or Malinovsky himself. It might be worth just have a punt on him. But if he doesn't, then Forsberg is the man, and Augustinsson or Danielson or Olsen. I'd be tempted with a Swedish double up in defence. But the only thing that would stop me is the possibility of the next round. It obviously being a potentially very tough tie against the winner of England and Germany. I'm going for a tight game. There'll be one goal in it. Maybe 2-1 Sweden. We'll go with that.
Okay. Carwin and Morton, have you got anything to add on this? Either of you? Or both of you?
The Sweden games, I think, have been the similar story as to England. They're pretty boring to watch. Isak, he does light it up a bit with his trickery, but it's I agree with Rob. It's hard to see a lot of goals in this because Sweden will play really controlled, and Ukraine can be night and day.
Okay.
So it's
Carwin, are you going for any assets in this game?
I've got Forsberg just from the last match. Other than that, exactly what you guys have said. I think it's going to be a low-scoring match and probably not the best watch. But it's going to be a close one either way.
Okay, cool. So that's all the predictions. All the previews done. Let's just do a quick fire prediction. Literally, just want the winner. Doesn't have to be a score, just a winner on who you think. Actually, let's give a score as well. Right. Starting off with, we've done Wales and Denmark already. So Italy and Austria. Morten, score.
3-0.
Carwin.
2-0 Italy.
Rob.
3-0 Italy.
I'm going 2-0 Italy. Netherlands and Czech Republic. Morten.
2-1 Netherlands.
Carwin.
3-1 Netherlands.
Rob.
2-0 Netherlands.
I'm going to go 3-0 Netherlands. Belgium versus Portugal. Morten.
2-2 full time, and then Belgium will score in extra time. 3-2.
Carwin.
I'm going 3-2 Portugal, extra time as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Tight game, but it's going to be high scoring apparently. Yeah, I'd probably go 2-2 extra time. Ronaldo to get some form of winner, whether it be the winning penalty in a penalty shootout or in extra time. I'm backing Ronaldo.
I'm gonna go 1-1 and Belgium win it in penalties. Croatia versus Spain. Morten.
Yeah, what's it going to be? Yeah, let's just say 1-0 Spain. I think that was a good pick.
Carwin.
1-0 Spain.
Rob.
1-0 Spain.
1-0 Spain.
Well, I said it first. I said it earlier.
That's Rob's.
All right, I'll go the other way now. France versus Switzerland. Rob.
2-0 France.
Carwin.
2-0 France.
Morten.
Come on.
He's going to say 2-0 Switzerland.
Yeah, 2-0 France, sorry.
Okay, I'm going to be different just because everyone's been the same. I'm going to go 1-0 France. Okay, England versus Germany. Rob.
1-0 England.
Carwin.
2-1 Germany.
Morten.
2-1 Germany.
I'm going to go 1-1, and England win on penalties.
Oh my god!
And
why do you have to say these things? You fucking idiot! You are.
I'm gonna go right. Final game: Sweden versus Ukraine. I'll go first this time. 1-0 Sweden. Rob.
2-1 Sweden.
Carwin.
1-0 Sweden after extra time.
And Morten.
Then I'll predict 1-1, and then Ukraine should go through.
Nice. Okay. Right. Let's now move on to our wildcard drafts. Rob.
Cool. Who says we got first? We've got Carwin's up first. So you've currently got the most original team out of the four, because I've seen all four, and there's only sort of 2 or 3 differences in them. I mean, a lot of the picks we've spoken about: Lukaku, Depay, Wijnaldum, Dumfries, Kier, Bale, Locatelli, Spinazzola, Donnarumma. Is there anyone that's a differential? Danielson. Why Danielson? There we go.
It's a good question. It was one of those that basically it was a value one at the end, really. I've tried to sort of go heavy on my first 11, really, and I don't think there's going to be many subs. Probably Gosens will go in at some point. After talking today, I think I'm taking out Locatelli.
I was going to say Locatelli is probably one of the only differentials in there.
Yeah, true.
And Bale, actually, to be fair.
I mean, yeah, I've gone for Bale because, I mean, what I said earlier, you know, I think if we're going to do something, I think he's going to be the man that steps up then. Locatelli, I mean, I'm just going, if he starts, then that's fine. I'll keep him in. But it's one of those that, obviously, from what we've discussed, the likelihood is he might not start. Yeah, I mean, the rest are pretty similar. I put Renato Sanchez in.
I think that'll be that's a differential right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked really good when he's played, and especially the last match he was really good. So I think he's going to start. And I don't know. I think he's got the potential to actually, pick up some points. And if we've all said that it's going to be a high-scoring game, or that we anticipate it will. So I'm hoping that he might get an assist for Ronaldo or something like that. Then, so yeah, I've gone for a couple of different ones and see how they pans out, isn't there?
All right, let's have a look at Morton's. Let's just quickly scan through. So it's quite a few different players here. So you got Immobile, Sarabia, Damsgaard, Merla, and
Double
then
Danish defence.
you've got Stecklenburg as well. That's interesting because that's someone that's appeared in someone else's draft. And then you've got your triple France there as well on the bench.
Yeah.
So why? I mean, we know about Sarabia match day 3. Do you think he starts?
I'm not sure. I hope so, due to his performance last time. I think he deserves the nod. So I hopefully he starts. If he doesn't, then I got a good bench. And then I've changed Kjær to Vestergaard to get some more aerial threat offensively. So I think Vestergaard is 2-1. It's only 1%, and I'm pretty chuffed that Mæhle is still only 7%. I don't get that, but that's good for me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something in the last day, really, as people's wildcard drafts have been flittering about on Twitter, and the template is very strong. It's sort of seven or 8, maybe 9 players that you'd see.
I'd go more than that. I'd say 10.
More 10. That you're seeing in every single draft, and I mean, apart from in this case, Sarabia and Vestergaard,
Damsgaard
maybe
as well.
Damsgaard, and maybe Pogba. But I've seen he's gradually creeping in as people are getting more confident about realizing about the French draw. It could be like, if you're going to back France to make the final, you may as well load up on the French. It's interesting. And let's go with Sham. What players have you ruined in this match day? Who should we not have?
Okay, well, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, Morton, but I've gone for a Mæhle captain tomorrow night.
Oh fuck! Here we go.
I'm really sorry, but I fucked it for you guys. My apologies.
Thank you.
Carmen's like, yes.
It's an OG then.
Yeah, pretty much. Nobody real. I would say in terms of differentials, to everyone else, I would say Damsgaard. I had a choice between Immobile and KDB versus Insigne and Lukaku, and at the moment I've gone Immobile and KDB. Depay and Benzema on everyone's side, Wijnaldum on everyone's side. I've gone Forsberg and Sarabia as my differentials. Those are my 2 main ones, I would say. And then I've gone for Gosens. Other than that, I think it's pretty template. 1 French defender, 1 French attacker. I've got 2 Italian defenders, and obviously Immobile. And then I've got I've got Stecklenburg as well. So 4 for Netherlands. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. I think I'm pretty locked in. I've kind of got 2 main decisions. I either go Immobile and KDB versus Insigne and Lukaku, and then my other decision is Sarabia versus Berardi. Other than that, I'm pretty much locked.
I know what I would go for with that. Those
I know
2
you've
combinations.
Said Insigne. I know you've said it, which is the opposite of what I've got in.
Because I've got that as my 2. So as I said, I've got Hugo Lloris. As I think that as France are going to be going deep into the tournament, it's just it saves me having to play around with keepers later on. So I've got Hugo Lloris there. Hopefully, I'll just be able to have him throughout the tournament. The double up with the Italian defence of Spinazzola and Bonucci, Insigne in the midfield. I've gone with the front three of Benzema, Lukaku, Depay. Damsgaard's in there at the moment. That might change. I'm not sure. On speaking of being not sure, I've got Luke Shaw in there. I am quietly confident about Tuesday, and as I said earlier, I think that an England defender could be the best option, where you're almost guaranteed they're going to play, and he's not only the most locked in, but the most attacking out of them. I may have a switch around and bring in Harry Maguire as well. I think he's great value at 5.5. Because he hasn't played, he's one of the only players out of all of these that hasn't gone through a price rise. So yeah, he's sitting there still on his original price, which is a huge plus as well. And yeah, I've gone with Forsberg. Backing Sweden against Ukraine, and it looks like if he doesn't score, then he's very much likely going to be part of a goal. And Pedri, because he does seem to be getting involved a lot, and I'm quite confident on Spain to beat Croatia. Although I don't think it will be as like they'll be free scoring like they were. So I'm hoping I don't have to bring Pedri in.
Okay, right. So that's the drafts done. Right, guys, if you can get your questions in now, Rob is about to do a league update and give some updates. Rob, it's your turn to talk about what's happening with the leagues and what's happening over the next few days and week with regards to our podcast. And yeah, if you guys get your questions in, and then we'll cover them.
Cool. So, the mini league as of the end of the group stage, and there is no £10,000 prize for this mini league. Subject to popular belief that there might be. At the top of the league, we've got Stephen Irish on 224 points. Bakayo Chile FC Saka. God knows who that is. At 222 points, and Matty Parsons 8 on 221 make up the top 10. A couple of other names that I recognise in there, including Auto Reclose in there at the bottom there in 10th. The reps competition, we saw the end of that. Carwin here got himself into the knockout stage, and sadly Morton didn't, but very unlucky. I think it was about 6 points combined that you lost all three of your fixtures.
It was two or 3 in one, I think.
Yeah, which is it's really unlucky. But yeah, so Morton won't be advancing any further. Hopefully, the real Carwin, close your ears. Hopefully, the real Denmark can get further than he can. So then we've got the draw. We've got Zakar. Oh, here we go. GR Costing against James, Tartan Paint against Gold, Sweden, Scotland, Italy, and France. We've got Alexis Insane, FF France, North Macedonia, Croatia, Karen Hammond, and Joachim Jeans, Wales, and Belgium. Even Osakar, Sivasanero, Russia and Poland. Turkey, Wombat FPL, Netherlands at Peter Wolf. And finally, Slovakia at FPL Slovakia, Ukraine at FPL Ukraine, England at Planet FPL Pod, and Portugal at Shez271. As
I'm proper conflicted in that game.
Round of 16 teams. So good luck to all of the reps as we move forward with that competition over the next few days. We've obviously got the round of 16 games. We are going to be bringing you a special on Monday evening. Me and Sham are actually meeting each other for the very first time in person
Finally.
on Monday night, and Sham is going to prepare me a candlelit pizza dinner. But we decided that just having the two of us wouldn't be enough. So we've
Probably
decided,
get bored of each other.
yeah. So we've decided to have a bit of a threesome between the Spain-Croatia game and what's the late game on Monday? The other game, is it Holland?
I think it's Holland, yeah.
Yeah, Netherlands. Is it Netherlands versus Czech on Monday night?
Switzerland.
France, Switzerland. There we go on Monday night. So at approximately 7 o'clock after the Croatia-Spain game, it may be a bit later if that game does go to extra time. Me and Sham will be going live to chat to our German rep at Kevin Bader, and we're just obviously the deadline would have passed, so there's no point talking fantasy about the game the following evening. So we're just going to do a little half an hour, 45-minute preview just to fill that time between the game. I mean, at the end, they're going to be talking about the same thing on TV, so you may as well watch us talking about it as well. So yeah, that'll be. I'm looking forward to that. Getting Kevin on, hear his thoughts on Germany's performances during the group stage, and how he thinks that the game may play out on Tuesday night. I know he actually contacted us that he was interested in coming back on, and because he really wanted to talk about Germany so far. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and yeah, it should be an interesting watch. Yeah, we'll try and obviously keep it as short as possible because we obviously want to watch the late game, and we'll probably want to eat as well. So yeah, I think that's about everything. Is that everything?
When's our next stream after that? Is it Wednesday?
Our next stream after that is not going to be on Wednesday. It is going to be.
Is it not?
When
No, Thursday. Is it? I've got.
The quarterfinals are on Friday and Saturday.
Yes. So
yes.
haven't we got?
We've got two streams. Yes, we have two streams next week. So we'll have one stream previewing the first two quarterfinals on Wednesday evening, and then we'll have a second stream previewing the second two quarterfinals on Thursday evening. This is all to be confirmed because if we don't have enough reps that are available on either evening, then we might just combine it into one and do one stream to cover all of the quarterfinals. But we'll obviously keep an eye out on Twitter. We should know who the reps are for the first preview stream on Wednesday by Monday night when we go live with Kevin. If we don't know by then, we're going to probably assume that it'll just be a Thursday night stream.
Cool. Rob, what happened to Panda's pick? David's asking in the chat about that volleyball meme. Did you say the quality wasn't very good on it or something?
No, well, it like to get the picture to show up on the screen, I'd have to make it really big, and the resolution wasn't high enough. Yeah, maybe just a note: if you're sending a picture, try and make sure it's at least probably say 800 pixels is probably the minimum. I normally go for 1200.
Okay, David, if you can sort that for the next stream, we will get it up there, right, Rob?
Yeah.
It was a cracking.
I did see it, and it did make me chuckle. But yeah, the moment I put it onto the graphics, it didn't look great, and it would have caused more offence than laughing. Maybe.
Cool. Right. Okay. Anything else, Rob? Or good to go with questions?
I think that's it. Yeah, let's go. Let's get some questions in.
Okay, we've only got a few, so it shouldn't be too long. Right, the first one is right. David asks, who should we target for our teams to make gains now? It's likely the template will be strong with unlimited transfers and a bigger budget, so we will need some differentials. Morton, I'll come to you first. What do you think?
yeah, it's for me. It's you have to go Denmark. That's pretty differential minded, and then maybe Ukraine if you fancy them to beat Sweden as I do. That could be a good way to go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Carwin, what do you think?
I'd
He's
go
going to say
for
back Wales.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm go for Dan, James, and Ramsey. I think they're going to be, obviously when we beat Denmark tomorrow, then they'll still be in it then.
Loving the banter, Rob.
I'll go. Okay, then I'll keep him theme. Go double England defence. I think that's probably differential in itself. So yeah, Maguire and Shaw.
I'm going to say triple Switzerland defence. No, I'm joking.
If you say that, then everyone just go triple French attack, and we're sorted.
I'm gonna, and I picked this guy from the beginning, but I think it's very tough to have him in now. I do think the Netherlands and Czech game will be quite high scoring. I like Patrick Schick as an option. I think he's differential enough. Okay, let's go. The next one was clean sheet wipeout. Do you think it's worth having a German and an English player in our squads covering both scenarios and means we're immediately on one of them? Carwin, I'll come to you first on this one.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. I can't see it being a massively high scoring game. And then obviously you can just transfer one of them out then. Rather than if you went, 2 or 3 of the same ones, then you're really taking a risk.
Rob?
Yep. I think whoever wins that game, you're going to be using your free transfers for the quarterfinals to bring in 3 more assets from that team because of how weak the rest of that side of the draw is. So then you'd be pushing with a quadruple up towards. I mean, these 2 teams at the moment, one of them's just under. Well, I think England are 2-1 to make the final, and Germany are 3-1 to make the final, and then everyone else is like 5 or 6-1, which says to me that if you've got one of each to start with for the round of 16, then you can move straight on to 4, because I think there'll be odds on to whoever wins that game will probably go odds on to reach the final. I think that you can go with like Sterling. You can then, if England lost, you could switch to Havertz and vice versa and stuff like that. So maybe looking at the teams and picking players of a value that there's a good alternative for the other team, then you can just switch straight over. It's kind of like a straight swap then, isn't it?
Yeah, in theory, I think that's a good option. My only thoughts on it are, I personally don't like. I prefer what's in my side now versus any English players. So I've got one German. I don't like any English players in my side compared to what I have at the moment. I prefer the players that I have now.
Yeah, but your Italy triple up could suddenly look quite poor if if Belgium just turn it on against Portugal, your Italy triple up doesn't look great anymore.
That's why I went double Italy. Yeah, no, that's why I've gone for double Italy at the moment.
And I think it's that on the top half, we'll call it the top half of the draw, you've got a lot of the sort of more premium assets sitting up there, and I think it's tough to really try and steam into more than one of them. And I think the one that you'd want to steam into is France, which Morton's done. I think in the bottom half of the draw, you've got the cheaper assets, and you've got more value sitting about there, but you don't want to be taking more than 1 or 2 because you know that at some point along the line, you've only got maybe 1 or 2, and at a stretch 3 games out of them. They'd only be in the bottom half of the draw. I'd only be really going for the Dutch assets, I think.
Okay, and the last question is from Fantasy Now. Who to prioritize, Wijnaldum versus Immobile? Carwin, I'll go to you first.
I've got Wijnaldum in my team. His goal scoring record for Holland is crazily good at the moment. And I don't know. I tend to think that they might score more goals than what Italy will do. I think Italy are more defensively solid. I mean, they have looked very good going forward as well, in fairness. But I really like Wijnaldum in that system that the Holland play.
Morton?
Yeah, I agree. I think if you say from a neutral perspective, Holland has a great route to the semifinals as well. So you can back him for more games, scoring some goals. I fancy Immobile as well to score goals. So it's a tough choice. I guess both could be viable.
And Rob?
I think Wijnaldum is the value. Like, you're getting value from Wijnaldum. He's 2 million cheaper, and you're getting an extra point. Like, he plays very high up at times, and you're getting that extra point for the goals. And Immobile, you could easily have Insigne in there instead. Yeah, I'd side with Wijnaldum. I think it is tough because I do think Immobile could just go off and bang in a hat trick against Switzerland. But yeah, I'd probably just side with Wijnaldum.
Immobile against Austria, you mean?
Yeah, Austria. But I'd probably just side with Wijnaldum purely for value, knowing that for the rest, like moving forward, like I'm confident this Dutch side should make the semi-finals now.
Yeah, I agree. Wijnaldum for me. Right, that's it. All questions covered. The stream, we've
solved it. We've solved the round of 16.
Yes, everything is done.
Now we just need the games to happen.
Morton and Coleman, thank you so much for coming back and joining us. You were great in the previews and you were great tonight. So from myself and Rob, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe we'll be doing one with you guys in the final, possibly. We'll see. Carwin, if not for the Wales getting into the Euros final, maybe the rep competition one. So yeah,
you've got two stabs at it.
Why not?
Or both. He's going to do the double, that glorious double.
Okay, so yeah, thanks both for joining. To the listeners, we will put out some details with regards to Monday in our stream. It'll be around 7:00. Well, it'll be definitely straight after the Spain and Croatia game, depending on extra time, etc. Around 7:00. But we'll put some details out on Twitter for that later. For the listeners and the viewers, thank you very much. And like, subscribe, share. Oh, and one more thing. I did put it on our Twitter today. I was challenged by Clean Sheet Wipeout, who I believe is in the chat. If we get to 400 subscribers, we're on about 290 so far. If we get to 400 by the end of the Euros, I will bleach my hair blonde. Okay, by the end of the Euros. So that's a challenge to you lot. If you want to see that, I don't give a fuck. I'll do it. And you know what, Rob? I'll let you do it.
We can do it. We can do it on the 24th of July at the editor's tap.
Mate, I don't care. I'm always up for a laugh. I don't give a fuck. Right. We will catch you soon. Take care. Good night. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Good luck to Wales and Denmark tomorrow.
Yes, good luck.
Thanks.
Enjoy the game.
Thank you.